It all began on a rainy Tuesday morning. The schoolyard was slick with water, the sky heavy with gray clouds, and the smell of wet concrete hung in the air. Students huddled in small groups, chatting and laughing, but in one corner of the yard stood a girl named Aisha. She was small, quiet, and invisible to most people, or at least she tried to be. She kept her eyes on the ground as she walked, clutching her books close to her chest. Aisha wasn't shy because she didn't want friends, she was shy because she had learned that speaking too much, being too visible, could make you a target. For months, a group of older boys had made her life miserable. They mocked her accent, her second-hand clothes, even the way she walked. They called her names in front of everyone, and when teachers weren't looking, they pushed her around. That day, she had hoped to slip through the yard unnoticed. But hope was a fragile thing. "Hey, little mouse," one of the boys called. His name was Farhan, the ringleader. He had a cruel smirk and the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. Two of his friends flanked him like shadows. Aisha kept walking, pretending she hadn't heard. "Don't ignore me." Farhan's voice sharpened. His footsteps grew louder until he was right in front of her. Before she could step back, his hand shot out and grabbed the collar of her shirt, yanking her forward. The book slipped from her arms and hit the wet ground. Students nearby froze, some whispering, others just watching. No one stepped in. Something inside Aisha trembled, not with fear, but with something else. Something she hadn't let herself feel in a long time. For months, she had been secretly taking judo classes at a small, run-down dojo 3 streets away from home. It wasn't just about learning to fight, it was about learning to stand. Her sensei's words echoed in her mind, judo is about using their strength against them. It's about knowing you can defend yourself and choosing when to act. Farhan yanked her collar again, laughing in her face. "Where's your voice now, mouse?" Her hands moved before her mind caught up. She grabbed his wrist, not with anger, but with precision, locking her fingers in a way her sensei had drilled into her hundreds of times. A quick turn, a shift of her weight, and she executed a perfect kotegeshi wrist throw. Farhan's laughter turned into a sharp cry as his own momentum sent him sprawling to the ground, clutching his wrist in pain. The yard went silent. One of the other boys lunged at her, rage flashing in his eyes. Aisha sidestepped, caught his arm, and applied the same technique. This time there was an audible pop, followed by his howl of shock and pain. The third boy froze where he stood, eyes wide. Aisha stood still, breathing steadily, not out of anger, but out of control. She didn't want to hurt anyone more than she already had. She stepped back, letting the boys stumble away. The crowd parted to let them pass, whispering in disbelief. When the bell rang, she picked up her wet books and walked inside. She didn't smile, didn't gloat, didn't say a single word. But inside, something shifted. Later that day, she was called to the principal's office. The 3 boys were there, their wrists wrapped in bandages, their expressions dark. Their parents sat beside them, demanding punishment. Aisha's hands were cold, but her voice was steady. She explained exactly what happened, leaving nothing out. She told the principal about the months of bullying, the countless times she had stayed quiet, and the moment she realized enough was enough. To her surprise, the principal didn't scold her. Instead, he turned to the boys. "It seems you underestimated her," he said sharply. "And you underestimated the consequences of your actions." The boys were suspended for 2 weeks, and their parents were warned. Word spread quickly through the school. Some people began to look at Aisha differently, not with pity, but with respect. Others avoided her entirely, no longer seeing her as an easy target. That evening, she returned to the dojo. Her sensei greeted her with a calm smile. "So," he said, "you finally used what you've learned." Aisha nodded. "I didn't want to. But I couldn't let them treat me like that anymore." Her sensei's smile deepened. "That's the spirit of judo. It's not about fighting, it's about knowing you can, and then choosing the right moment to stand." From that day forward, Aisha walked a little taller. She still kept to herself, still preferred quiet corners and books, but she no longer carried the heavy weight of fear. She knew she could defend herself. She knew she was stronger than they had ever imagined. The bullies never touched her again. And in the quiet of her heart, she carried the memory of that moment, not as revenge, but as proof that even the smallest voice can rise, and even the quietest person can stand like a mountain when it matters most. This version is paced to stretch naturally over a 15-minute narrated video with emotional build-up, challenges, confrontation,